All right, so I want to like kind of finish this off and just try to cover just like certain groups, and I'm gonna like post info in all of these segments of videos of like some links and other certain clues, and I'm gonna post also like photos and re-edit all these and try to make it better and like get someone else talking because I don't really like talking. But yeah, so like I'm in Cambodia right now, and I'm just telling you also, don't trust Cambodians. They are a part of this system, and I'm sorry, Cambodia, but you guys are screwing a lot of crap up. I've already seen way too much stuff going on here, and everyone should be like really skeptical about places like Cambodia and all these other kind of places where they have Nagas and all this stuff, because the Nagas, I'm sorry to tell you guys, you guys are screwing up a lot of crap, and you're the ones who are actually caused a lot of the problems before, and I know about it because I've read a lot and I've seen what you did to me and what you've been doing to my life, and I would like you guys to screw off and basically stop screwing up my life and stop getting involved, because there's a reason why these things are happening, because there's a whole bunch of stuff that you aren't aware of and that you won't exist if you keep screwing around. And that's why I'm trying to explain what is going on, all of these alliances, why the Mossad is so powerful, how they control everything, what's their position in all this, because there's all these hierarchies and systems that go down during this time when we are confronting this Nibiru event. And the progression of events have a lot to do with history, like what happened, why did World War II happen and all this stuff, and what were the Nazis doing and what were they involved in? Well, because Mengele is unfortunately, like in this timeline, is not doing the good thing. There's many maybe different versions of Mengele. There's genetic clones, there's twins. Like Mengele was doing research on twins, and he was in South America. He can make twins in many villages, and this is part of the deception game. Is like, who do you trust? Do you trust these people, or you don't even know if that's the same person, because there could be another twin or a freaking clone or whatever they say, a hologram or something like that, and it's manipulating and screwing around with things and adjusting things, so the people are like totally enslaved and they're totally oblivious most of the time to what's going on. So that's one thing I'm trying to tell you guys, like, be careful of places where they say, oh, they have Nagas and they have this tradition of worshipping Nagas, because actually Nagas are part of the problem. And I don't like hate Nagas, because I actually probably have part of their genetics in me, but we all do, and we're all linked together with them. But some of them have like powers, like they can shapeshift, they can like do certain tricks, they can assume different identities. I know people think that is like completely crazy, but they can do it. I've seen it before, and this is where you're not going to want to believe this stuff. But you have to understand, what were the Nazis doing after World War II? They decided, why Hitler is like almost going to win and then he commits suicide? No, that's not what happened. They had a clone commit suicide, or they killed him because he didn't want to go along, and then they have a twin or a clone of him that was going to do what they were planning on doing, go to South America, go into United States with Operation Paperclip, go and do all of these experiments with Jack Parsons, and then running Dianetics with L. Ron Hubbard, and doing the Babylon Working Project and all of these other like magic rituals, these dark arts, these sorcerer kind of stuff, like human cloning and everything that they were doing. So they went over to America. They started doing that with thousands of Nazi scientists. They built underground bases all over America. They're doing all of these projects, genetic experiments in Dulce, New Mexico, building a network of all these underground bases. And there was another faction of Nazis, and these are probably the not so bad Nazis. They went to South America and they're trying to break away. but the whole time is like Mengele has control over all of them. And they go down to South America and they go to Colonia Dignidad. They start doing a bunch of crazy experiments, and then America at the same time, they send Augusto Pinochet, who's friends with Colonia Dignidad. They start taking all these political prisoners there and torturing them, doing brain experiments, brainwashing them, genetic experiments, all of this stuff. He goes to Paraguay, and then they also have genetic experiments there as well. Boys from Brazil, they start doing it in Brazil, and then there's a problem. So then they go to the Antarctic. Now they start a colony called Neuschwabenland in the Antarctic, and I have all this in the section of Fourth Reich in the playlist, and you can see all the historical evidence for this, and it's called Operation High Jump. The Queen of England and the army of MI6 and everybody, the intelligence forces, the covert spies and everything, they start the Falklands because there was groups there. And then they go into Neuschwabenland and they start, it's called Operation High Jump. And they start taking over the Antarctic and start fighting with the Nazis there. And then the Nazis, they have Vril technology, they have like saucer technology, and then they started going to the moon, and then they colonized there. And like this is all in documentations and eyewitness reports. There's people, if they were willing to come forward with it from some intelligence departments in disclosure projects, have started talking about the Nazi involvement in the military, the mind control experiments in Montauk Camp Hero base on Montauk Island. And all of the people in Montauk know about it. It's like a famous place, and they put all these movies there and talk about twins and superheroes and all this kind of stuff. Well, they're doing all these experiments, dimensional experiments, like CERN. They're doing mini CERN experiments with individuals, and this is why we're in part of this problem that we're in right now. And unfortunately, places also like Cambodia, they have understood some of this, and they're also working with other alliances and screwing around with stuff now. So there's all of these problems now that we're running into, and there's all these groups trying to control reality. And you're all just enslaving each other, and that's what's going on. Is like people don't want to believe the truth because they're all like trying to screw each other over, and that's why the planet's so screwed up, because there's all these people trying to screw each other over. There's all these programs, all of these cloning programs, these people like worshipping the Eye of Horus, or basically mocking Horus, and all this stuff, and this Egyptian pharaonic media culture and MTV and all this stuff. So this is the alliances in history have been like fighting each other to control reality. And there's groups of the Nazis that are like basically controlled with other versions of like, I don't know exactly how to explain this easily, but when you screw around with time, your genetics will change. If you do too much like quantum travel and stuff like this, our genetics will become damaged from space radiation and all this other stuff. Your body's not used to it because you're used to living on this planet. Same like your skin color will change when you're moving away from the sun and you're not exposed to the sun. We used to be all African, black, dark skinned, but then we moved away from the equator and we started changing. Well, there's also groups that were like that. There's no such thing as aliens. They're all genetic hybrids of us who are screwing around with time, and they're trying to manipulate and screw each other over and screw your mind up and basically kind of control everything that's going on. And you're all brainwashed by this stuff. These people are really screwing your head up, and you don't even understand. You watch all their movies and all the frequencies they're projecting at you with Wi-Fi and all this stuff that they've said gives you cancer. You talk on their telephone, it's a cancer device. I'm sorry I'm using one right now, but I have to tell you this stuff. But all of this stuff is to control you. It is basically they're trying to manipulate your reality, and they're trying to not tell you the truth. And these groups are really, they control everything. Like, this is not a joke. Like, if you read all of the documentation, I mean, your tax dollars paid for wars to fight this battle that's going on between these groups. And this stuff is like, that's what the Fourth Reich is all about. The Black Sun, Kali Yuga, Ophiuchus, all of these events, these astrological things, the Antichrist coming back, New World Order, all of this stuff, it's all connected together by all of these groups fighting each other together. And that's what you're doing. You're basically all brainwashed, and you don't understand what's going on because you don't have the right information, and none of us have the right information. There's just so many lies out there, and I'm not trying to say I know all the truth, but I'm trying to uncover what I've been able to process and understand from all of this stuff. And you can laugh and say, oh, this guy is he's flipping crazy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But actually, I know what I'm talking about because I've read about it, and I've been harassed and tortured by these people for years. My whole life has been screwed up by these people because, like, the Nazis and Hitler were looking for the Holy Grail, the Holy Bloodline. Well, I'm part of that bloodline, and they've been torturing me and following me around and screwing my life up. And it's not just that, it's also versions of me and my family also involved in these projects, and they're all trying to control each other and manipulate each other, and I can't trust anybody. And that's the world we live in. We don't even know if we can trust that. So if you can't trust that, that's the type of problem that they've created. And this is the problem, is like, all these groups need to stop screwing around and realize that you're not going to get anywhere, because it's just going to become the same old crap over and over again, and you're pathetic losers, whoever you are, trying to control reality and make it like people are slaves. And you got to stop screwing around. You got to stop doing this to people. You're hurting people. And maybe some of you just don't care. You're so freaking evil. You don't care about what you're doing to people. You're poisoning yourselves. You're so stupid. That's just basically how screwed up this group of idiots who run all of this stuff are. Like, they're freaking idiots. That's all I can say, is they have gone completely crazy. They even poison themselves. There's toxic, genetic, manipulated food everywhere. All this stuff is giving us cancer. This cancer rates are skyrocketing. The ocean's polluted. They're nuking the Pacific Ocean with Fukushima radiation that's been going on for 4 years. It's killing all the fish in the ocean. I mean, they're cutting down all the trees. They're fracking the hell out of the earth. Like, we are a bunch of stupid animals. I'm sorry to say, humanity, but that's what we are. We have degraded ourselves into being stupid animals. And unfortunately, we have the ability to do something about it. But there's a lot of stupid people on this planet who want to keep continuing doing this stupid crap over and over again. And I'm really sick of it. And you should be sick of it too, really. I mean, what are you going to get out of it? You're just going to get cancer and die? You're going to get autosomal inheritance disorder and die? Like, is that what your life is all about? You live every day to do the same crap and then die? Is that your spiritual path? I'm sorry, humanity, but really, like, I mean, realize what power and gift that God gave you, a body and a mind, a temple of spiritual essence, to do something positive. And most of you guys are trying to cheat and lie and steal and screw everybody else over. And you don't even know what's going on, because you're so involved in this brainwash system, and you don't even want to wake up. And when someone tells you the truth, you want them to shut up. And you want to criticize them, and you want to stop them from telling the truth. Well, that's why you're screwed. You know, that's why you're living in a hellhole. That's why you're a slave. I mean, really, you can get out of this if you just stop that.